Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is part 38 of Tafseer Al Saadi. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. It is prescribed when death approaches any of you, if he is leaving behind any wealth, that he should make a bequest to parents and next of kin on an equitable basis. This is a duty for those who fear Allah. فَمَنْ بَدَّلَهُ بَعْدَمَا سَمِعَهُ فَإِنَّمَا إِثْمُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يُبَدِّلُونَهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. If anyone changes the bequest after hearing it, the guilt will be on those who make the change, for Allah is all hearing, all knowing. فَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوصٍ جَنَفًا أَوْ إِثْمًا فَأَصْلَحَ بَيْنَهُمْ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But if anyone fears partiality or wrongdoing on the part of the testator and sets things right between the parties concerned, there is no sin on him, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. That is, Allah has enjoined upon you, O believers, when death approaches any of you, that is, when any of the causes of death are present, such as an illness that is expected to be terminal, and so on. If he is leaving behind any wealth, this refers to whatever is regarded as loss of wealth according to custom. In that case, he should make a bequest to his parents and the people who are the closest to him on an equitable basis according to his situation, without being extravagant and without giving only to distant relatives to the exclusion of close relatives. Rather, he should give according to the degree of closeness and the extent of need. حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُتَّقِينَ. This is a duty for those who fear Allah. This indicates that doing this is obligatory, because the right is established and Allah has made it one of the obligations connected to piety or fearing Allah. It should be noted that the majority of commentators think that this verse was abrogated by the verse which speaks of the shares of inheritance. Others think that it applies to parents and relatives other than heirs, even though there is nothing to indicate that it applies specifically to them. It is best to say that this is a bequest to parents and relatives in general terms, and Allah Azza wa Jal has left the details to be determined according to custom. Later on, Allah Azza wa Jal decreed what is meant by on an equitable basis. With regard to parents and other relatives who are designated heirs, in the verses that speak of the shares of inheritance, this came after the matter had been mentioned in general terms. The ruling in this verse concerning parents who do not inherit and other relatives who are blocked by a person or because of their degree of kinship remained in effect, because the dying person is enjoined to make a bequest to these people who are the most deserving of his kindness. This view is agreed upon by the Ummah. Hence, based on the above, we can reconcile between the two views concerning this verse. Whenever it is possible to reconcile between two views, it is better to do so than to say that one of them is abrogated, when there is no sound evidence to that effect. Because the testator may refrain from making a bequest because he thinks that those who come after him will change his bequest. Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَمَنْ بَدَّلَهُ, if anyone changes the bequest, that is a bequest made to those mentioned in this verse or others, بَعْدَ مَا سَمِعَ, after hearing it, that is after understanding it and knowing how it should be carried out, فَإِنَّمَا إِثْمُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يُبَدِّلُونَ, the guilt will be on those who make the change. The testator will have his reward with Allah, and the guilt or sin will be on the one who changed it. إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ إِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ, for Allah is all hearing and hears all voices. He knows what the testator says and what his bequest is, so he should be careful and be aware of the one who hears him and sees him, and he should not be unjust in his bequest. Alim, all-knowing, and knows his intentions. He knows what the beneficiary of the bequest will do. So the testator should try his best to do what is right, and Allah will know that from his intention and will reward him even if he makes a mistake. This is also a warning to the beneficiary against altering the bequest, for Allah knows and can see what he is doing, so he should fear Allah. This is the ruling on bequests that are fair. As for bequests that include unfairness and wrongdoing, those who are present at the time when the bequest is made should advise the testator to do that which is better and more appropriate. They should tell him not to be unfair. The word translated here as janafan, partiality, refers to being unfair without realizing it. And the word translated as ithman, wrongdoing, refers to deliberate unfairness. If he does not do that, then things should be put right among the beneficiaries of his bequest, trying to reach a fair solution among them on the basis of mutual consent and reconciliation. They should be exhorted to resolve their deceased loved one of any blame. The one who does that has done a great good deed, and there is no sin on him, unlike the one who changes a permissible bequest. Hence Allah Azza wa Jal said, For Allah is oft forgiving. For Allah is oft forgiving, that is, He forgives all errors and their consequences to those who repent to Him. That includes His forgiveness of the one who showed selflessness and gave up some of his rights to his brother. Because whoever is easygoing, Allah will be easygoing with him, and He will forgive their deceased loved one who was unfair in his bequest, if they seek reward with Allah for being easygoing with one another in order to absolve the deceased of any blame. Allah is most merciful to His slaves, and He has prescribed that they should be compassionate with one another in all their affairs. These verses indicate that it is encouraged to make a bequest and to make clear who the beneficiaries are. There is also a warning addressed to the one who changes a fair bequest, and encouragement to put things straight with regard to unfair bequests. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.